This evening, first up, a 1-year-old baby boy is dead, struck by a tractor driven by his own father in their yard at Canal Number One. A family torn apart in an instant and a mother's heartbreaking account. Then, wheelbarrows, coins, and small bills. Azruddin Mohamed's courtroom drama spills into the streets outside the Attorney General's chambers, and Anil Nandlall is furious. Tonight, the spectacle that has everyone talking. Plus, nearly 50,000 public servants, teachers, and discipline services members wake up to good news. The $100,000 cash grant hits bank accounts today. Meanwhile, 2 Chinese nationals robbed at gunpoint near the Demerara Bridge. A security officer fires a warning shot. The suspects shoot back, and 4 spent shells are left behind. The manhunt is on, and the Middle East boils over. Trump and Netanyahu stands united as Israel strikes an Iranian gas field without even telling Washington first. Tonight, a dangerous new chapter in a widening war. Those stories and more coming up. Stay with us. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for March 20th, 2026. I'm Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, a quiet Thursday morning turned tragic at Canal Number One, West Bank, Demerara, after a 1-year-old child was fatally injured by a tractor driven by his father in the yard of his home. Police in Regional Division 3 said the fatal incident occurred around 9 a.m. and involved Talish Buduram, a 1-year-old boy, and his father, who was operating the tractor at the time. Big Smith Newswatch spoke with the traumatized mother of 5, and this is what she explained.
After I finished cooking, I sorted my little baby child and feed him. Then I left a little bit of food in the bowl and I went to go to the washroom, and I left the little boy on the step top. And he sat down eating his rice. And I went in the washroom, and after that, I don't know what go on. I don't know. And the father carried the tractor at the front. I don't know how he reached down the step to get here. Next time I got sick, and I'm 7 months pregnant, and like I'm giving up.
According to preliminary investigations, the father told police that he had left the child sitting on the front step of the house before driving the tractor out of the yard and onto an access dam nearby. However, after getting off the vehicle and walking back into the yard, he reportedly discovered the child lying motionless on the ground with injuries to the head and body. Emergency medical technicians from the Lagrange Fire Service were called to the scene, and the child was later pronounced dead by a doctor. The body has since been taken to the Ezekiel Funeral Home, where it is awaiting a post-mortem examination. Police said a breathalyzer test was administered to the father and no alcohol was detected. He remains in custody as investigators continue their probe into the circumstances surrounding the child. On a different note, in an extraordinary scene outside the Attorney General's chambers on Thursday, opposition leader Azruddin Mohamed turned up with 2 wheelbarrows loaded with cash and coins to settle court-ordered costs, prompting sharp condemnation from Attorney General Anil Nandlall, who described the act as a disrespectful attack on the judiciary and the administration of justice.
A person who's supposed to lead by example is demonstrating his utter disrespect, his utter contempt, and his utter disregard for the orders of the judges of this country.
The dramatic payment effort came amid the government's push to recover millions of dollars in legal costs from Azruddin Mohamed and his father Nazar Mohamed, following their failed court challenges to extradition proceedings linked to the United States allegations of gold smuggling and money laundering. According to Minister Nandlall, the Mohameds had been ordered by the High Court to pay $500,000 each to the Attorney General and the Minister of Home Affairs and Acting Chief Magistrate Judy Lachman after a February 4th ruling dismissed their legal challenge. The sums were due by February 27th, but no payment was made by that deadline. After further warnings from the Attorney General's chambers, Azruddin Mohamed, accompanied by his sister Hannah Mohamed and WIN General Secretary Odessa Primus, arrived on Thursday with bulk cash in small bills and coins.
I am in the process of preparing enforcement proceedings. But this afternoon, while I was conducting a very important meeting with the National Coordinating Committee of the AML-CFT of Guyana, I was informed that the leader of the opposition, Azruddin Mohamed, and Member of Parliament Odessa Primus, along with Hannah Mohamed, came to the chambers of the Attorney General armed with 2 wheelbarrows of money, and they claim that they are here to pay the costs to the AG and to the Minister of Home Affairs in the sum of $1 million. They brought the money in the 2 wheelbarrows.
The Attorney General said the move created a public spectacle and showed contempt for the authority of the courts. He argued that while notes can legally be used to pay any amount, coins are subject to strict limits under the law, making much of the coin payments invalid. In the end, the Attorney General's chambers accepted $900,500, leaving an outstanding balance of $99,500. The Attorney General said public servants were forced to remain beyond working hours to count the money, accusing Mohamed of turning compliance with a court order into a circus. He warned that the court rulings are binding and that enforcement actions remain available against those who fail to comply fully. Mohamed, however, defended his actions, saying he used cash because his bank accounts had been closed following U.S. sanctions imposed in June of 2024.
I don't have bank accounts, and this is some of the cash I had at hand presently. So that's why I brought this today, because tomorrow is my holiday, and he gave us a deadline of 4 p.m. tomorrow. I don't have no other option because they force all the banks to close my accounts. So this is the only option I had at hand, to go into the children's piggy bank and take the money out and bring it immediately.
Mohamed claimed the payment highlighted what he sees as contradictions in the government's stance, arguing that the government had previously suggested persons risk sanctions by doing business with the Mohamed family.
Although they mentioned to everyone on the campaign trail that you can't do business, you can't accept cash from the Mohammeds, or else you will be sanctioned and your visas revoked. And they just accepted the cash, and they're checking it off presently, $1 million.
The payment controversy unfolds as the wider extradition case continues before the magistrate's court, with the state also seeking to recover additional court-awarded costs following the Mohammed's defeat in both the High Court and the Court of Appeal. Moving on, nearly 50,000 central government employees are set to receive the 2026 national $100,000 cash grant as the government begins rolling out what it says will be another major nationwide cash transfer initiative. In a statement on Thursday, the Ministry of Finance announced that 48,858 public servants, teachers, and members of the discipline service who already have salary payments made directly into their bank accounts will be the first group to benefit. The payments amounts to almost $5 billion in additional disposable income. Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, said the move fulfills the commitment announced in 2026 national budget. He also encouraged citizens to open bank accounts, noting that electronic transfers remain the fastest and easiest way to access the grant. An online registration platform will be launched next week for all other eligible Guyanese to apply. To qualify, applicants must be Guyanese citizens age 18 or older as of February 28, 2026, possess valid identification, hold a bank account in their own name at a local commercial bank, and be physically present in Guyana at the time of registration. The initiative forms part of the administration's broader push towards digitalization and financial inclusion, with officials saying the use of bank transfers will make the process more efficient, secure, and transparent. When fully rolled out this year, the government expects more than $60 billion to be transferred to eligible citizens. Stick around when we return. Cannabis-infused drinks seized at CJIA and Cannabis National Drug Alert. and gunfire erupts during suspected armed robbery near Demerara Bridge.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. A suspected armed robbery near the Barrett-Jagview Demerara River Bridge on Thursday night ended with gunfire. One man was injured, and the police are launching an active investigation into the brazen attack. Police in Regional Division 4B said the incident occurred around 8 p.m. along the Providence Public Road, East Bank, Demerara, and involved two Chinese nationals from Eccles who were walking home at the time. Preliminary reports indicate that the men were heading north along the eastern carriageway when three identifiable males approached them on a motorcycle. Police said one of the suspects, armed with a handgun, got off the motorcycle and confronted one of the victims. A scuffle reportedly followed, during which the victim was struck on the head and robbed of cash. At the same time, another suspect allegedly relieved the second victim of two cellular phones and cash. The situation escalated when a 23-year-old armed security officer in the area reportedly noticed the robbery in progress and fired a warning shot into the air. The suspects then allegedly opened fire in his direction before escaping south along the East Bank access road. Emergency medical personnel responded to the scene, and the injured victim was taken to the Diamond Regional Hospital for treatment. The police said, however, no one suffered gunshot wounds. The Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit, through the Guyana Early Warning System, said 222 cans of the suspected cannabis-infused drinks were seized on March 18 at CGIA. According to CANU, the beverages were hidden inside storage tote bins among clothing, paper bags, and other assorted items, and are believed to have originated in the United States. Authorities say the products were manufactured for commercial sale to resemble regular soft drinks, making them harder to detect and particularly attractive to young people. CANU warned that the seizure points to a growing trafficking method in which cannabis products are packaged as everyday consumer items and shipped through cargo systems. Although such products may be legal in some foreign countries, CANU stressed that cannabis and cannabis-derived items, including THC-infused beverages, remain illegal in Ghana under the Narcotics, Drugs, and Psychotropic Substance Control Act. The agency warned that importing, possessing, or distributing these products could result in criminal charges. Officials also raised concerns about the health risks linked to such beverages, particularly for children, teenagers, and first-time users. CANU is urging the public to remain vigilant, avoid suspicious imported drinks, and report any questionable products or information to the authorities as it continues efforts to monitor emerging drug trends and protect public health. Don't go away after the break. Brazil's economy, war in Iran increases inflation ahead of election, and U.S. blockade on Cuba. Living conditions worsen as fuel shortages bite.
girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world.
Good evening, I'm Dominic Gittins. Tonight, Venezuela reshuffles its military leadership, replacing its longtime defense minister amid a political transition. Cuba warns it has received no oil in months as its energy crisis deepens. Rising fuel costs hit Brazil's economy, and tensions escalate between the US, Israel, and Iran. We begin in Venezuela. Venezuela's interim president Delcy Rodriguez has replaced longtime defense minister Vladimir Padrino with General Gustavo González López in a major cabinet reshuffle. Padrino, who served since 2014 under former President Nicolás Maduro, was thanked for his service and assigned new duties. The move comes amid an ongoing political transition following Maduro's removal and reflects effort to consolidate control. Both officials are facing sanctions and accusations linked to human rights abuses and corruption. Cuban President Manuel Diaz-Canel says no oil has been delivered to the island more than 3 months. The US imposed an oil blockade on Cuba in January in Washington's latest attempt to bring the island under US control. Al Jazeera's Ed Augustine reports.
Joana Hola distributes free medicine to people in need. When living conditions for most Cubans began to deteriorate a few years ago, she and other entrepreneurs used their own money to found Footprints, a humanitarian organization.
We don't belong to any state or private institution, but we're all Cubans, and that means we can't be indifferent to so much suffering.
But now, both her business and her humanitarian work have ground to a halt. That's because since late January, US President Donald Trump has imposed an effective oil blockade on the island. The Trump administration hopes that by depriving the island of fuel, it will overthrow the Communist Party, or at least force the nation to become more economically dependent on the US. The policy is hurting the most vulnerable. Joana can no longer fill up her car to make deliveries. Boxes of vital medicine are gathering dust. The effects are evident across Cuba. Hospitals are working with skeleton staff because public transport has been cut. Thousands of surgeries have been suspended. Washington is attacking the very infrastructure that sustains life for the 9 to 10 million Cubans that live on this island. It's not only electricity, it's not only transport, it's drinking water, it's refuse collection, it's even hospitals. And some health experts warn that infant mortality rates are very likely already increasing. Last week, President Trump said there might be a friendly takeover of the island. On Monday, he had a new formulation.
I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba. That'd be good. That's a big honor.
Deputy Prime Minister Oscar Pérez Oliva Fraga on Monday said Cubans living abroad, including in Florida, will soon be able to make direct investments in Cuba's growing private sector. A move seen by some as a gesture to Washington.
They can participate in and own businesses in Cuba. This is one of the things we're announcing.
Cuba's national power grid collapsed on Monday, but even when the grid's up and running, Joana spends more than 16 hours a day without electricity. Her humanitarian work is needed more than ever, but without fuel, there's not much she can do.
I ask myself, are they making us live like this for democracy, or are they forcing us to live in this way in the name of freedom? Because it's truly brutal. It is inhumane and cruel.
Across this island under siege, many are asking just how far the US will go. Ed Augustine, Al Jazeera, Havana.
Brazil's economy is being impacted by the war, as rising oil prices increase costs for farmers who rely on imported fuel. Al Jazeera Monica Yinaclef reports.
Truck drivers in Brazil say they're feeling the shockwaves of a conflict being fought thousands of kilometers away in the Middle East.
The United States started this war with Iran, but we're the ones feeling the consequences with fuel prices going up.
They've been threatening to go on strike, potentially bringing Latin America's largest economy to a standstill.
More than 60% of cargo goes by truck, and Brazil imports between 20 and 30% of all the diesel it consumes. As oil prices rise, the cost of harvesting crops and transporting them to ports is climbing quickly.
That's pushing up inflation and creating a political challenge for President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, who is seeking a fourth non-consecutive term in October's election. Earlier this month, he cut fuel taxes and introduced emergency measures to protect consumers. But it may not be enough. Brazil's powerful agribusiness sector, highly dependent on imported fertilizers, warns the conflict is causing further disruption.
35% of the urea we use as fertilizer comes from Iran and Oman. With the war, both imports from that region and our exports are being affected.
The result could be higher food prices at a sensitive moment, just months before voters head to the polls. Monica Yinaclef, Al Jazeera, Rio de Janeiro.
Tensions between the United States and Israel on one side and Iran on the other are escalating significantly. US President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reaffirmed their united stance against Iran. This comes after an Israeli airstrike targeted a gas field in southern Iran, which, according to Trump, was carried out without prior coordination with Washington. Al Jazeera's Rosalind Jordan reports.
U.S. President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spent Thursday declaring they're united in their war against Iran. This after Israel bombed Iran's South Pars gas field on Wednesday, a strike Trump said on social media he didn't know about ahead of time.
We're independent, we get along great, it's coordinated, but on occasion he'll do something, and if I don't like it, and so we're not doing that anymore.
Israel acted alone against the Slawia gas compound. Fact number two, President Trump asked us to hold off on future attacks, and we're holding out.
The messaging is key because Iran retaliated by bombing a key Qatari natural gas facility, angering officials in Doha.
There are unfortunately continuous Iranian claims that the attacks are attacks on U.S. assets or on U.S. bases in Qatar and the region. We reject this claim, which cannot be accepted under any circumstances.
The attacks on oil and gas facilities across the region come as the White House is planning to ask Congress for $200 billion in new defense spending.
It takes money to kill bad guys. So we're going back to Congress and our folks there to ensure that we're properly funded for what's been done, for what we may have to do in the future.
Democrats say the request is a sign the war won't end anytime soon.
Even a fraction of that is unacceptable for a war. Without a plan, without a goal, without the support of the American people.
With congressional pushback a certainty, the White House is already arguing the money is needed to ensure Iran no longer is a threat to American interests. Rosalind Jordan, Al Jazeera.
Thanks, Dominique. This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-day weather forecast. And that's FTV2 Headline News for this Friday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. We will be off for the weekend, but you can tune in on Monday at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other and do have a wonderful weekend.